This Climbing the Mountain podcast is brought to you by Encova Insurance. Hard work and passion are critical components of any winning strategy. Count on Encova Insurance as your local team to provide peace of mind. Welcome into Climbing the Mountain. It is Baylor week for WVU football. I'm your host, Amanda Mazey, with Darius Stills. Thanks for joining me again.
No problem.
I haven't scared you off yet. Appreciate that. Of course, Climbing the Mountain is brought to you by Encova Insurance and Country Roads Trust. We are West Virginia's name, image, and likeness team. All right, Darius, here we are. We're 2-3 in the season, 0-2 in Big 12 play. We have a big Thursday night home game against Baylor. Should be pretty electric.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's always electric when we play Baylor, so especially night game in Morgantown, can't beat it.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's welcome in Jeff Koonz, special teams coordinator and inside linebackers coach. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Let's talk about your bye week. What was the message? What did you guys do? Did you get anything fun in? Like, tell me what that looks like.
Yeah, we had to, at the end of the day, we had to look at the Texas game. We had to kind of come back in and look at it and own it, both from a player's and a coach's perspective, and what we did well, what we didn't do well. Obviously, there was some things that we did well in the second half and kind of adjusting and doing that. So it started with that, just like a normal week. But then, once you get into that weekend, there is some time to kind of get some sleep, get some rest, kind of recharge the batteries a little bit, which you have to force yourself to do. Sometimes that's easier said than done because you just have a sour taste in your mouth, but you got to force yourself to do it, and then you got to hit the reset button. We had 2 really good days of practice, and then got a third day before we got into kind of a normal game week. So if you look at it, 1 week back was Thursday of this past week. That would have been a game day 1 week before. Kind of took that off, did some meetings, did some team building things, and then got in on Friday, which would have been our day after. So we had practice on Friday. Kind of got into our routine, kind of a light day on Saturday, kind of an open hours day, and then we started yesterday with our heavy Tuesday work. So it was a good week as far as getting some rest. Also, it was a huge week, and Coach Brown talks about it with a developmental program. We had a ton of guys that aren't getting a lot of reps, whether they're a second-year guy, a freshman, guys that are coming off of maybe they were injured during camp and they're kind of getting back in the flow of things. We got up to between 80 and 90 live 11 on 11 or 7 on 7 reps where we could continue to develop and work with those guys and evaluate them. And there's some guys that kind of came out of that and you're like, okay, maybe they're getting closer and closer to be able to help us on game day. So I think it was a very productive bye week, both in terms of recharging but also developing and kind of seeing where we're at coming into game week this week.
I know you guys aren't exactly where you want to be as far as record-wise, but, this is a twofold question. What is frustrating right now, but what is good right now?
Well, I think obviously what's frustrating is it's very easy to point out the plays on film that could change the entire outlook of the first 5 games. I mean, that's frustrating because we're right there in a lot of opportunities. At the end of the day, we got to make those plays. We got to put ourselves in position to make those plays. And then what's exciting about it is I think it's been documented pretty well that we have a culture right now of where guys we're fighting. There's a chemistry right now where we do believe, as bad as last game was, you're sitting there and we're attempting an onside kick in a 2-score game, that we have a chance, as bad as we played and as many opportunities as we left on the field in the first half, that we had a chance to kind of get back into it there in the fourth quarter, and then obviously the other 2 that we weren't able to get done were very, very similar. So you do hang on a little bit to that. We're that close, but at the end of the day, we got to finish and we got to make those plays.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the plays that you guys are close is plays that you guys can actually learn from and just get better at. It's controllable.
100%.
And that's the good part.
100%. And you can see it.
Yeah, and back to the bye week stuff, it's always good, having the young guys step up and, see where they're at, because you're getting to a point in the season where guys' bodies start to break down. Starters might go down for a play or series. Mm-hmm. And, getting these reps in this week, especially 80, 90 reps, I mean, that's a lot of the good reps for, the young guys to get. And that just really puts them in position to be able to play again. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one of those weeks, and like I said, we talked about it on here. I'm sure coaches have, but Coach Joseph, the recovery modalities, all of the things in the training room that we have access to, and those guys being in here and living in there and taking full advantage of those facilities that we have, that was incredible. And just like it is in the normal game week, you got to find the time. Well, you didn't have to necessarily find the time. It was a lot more easy to access that, and we kind of developed our week around those things too. So I think we're refreshed. We're as good as we were going into the first game, and I'm excited to watch him fly around Thursday night.
You know, you talk about injuries. Obviously, C.J. Donaldson, that was a big one in that game, a scary one. You know, what's it like for you as a coach to see a player go down like that in that serious of a manner? And you know, I mean, you're a dad, you're a husband. You know, like football isn't like, I mean, it's important, but that young man's life could have been changed 100%. Instantly. You know, what was that like for you as a coach to see CJ go down like that in that manner? Yeah,
obviously the first thing you just, obviously hoping and praying for him to be okay. And the first thing that I think of too when you watch that, and whether you're on the sidelines, you're in the box, you're watching on TV, is the amount of people that are around him, sports medicine, doctors, EMT, all those people, and the professionalism and watching them. And one thing too, and it was pretty awesome to see, is if you watch that, both Texas and West Virginia, both their staffs are there. Both of them are helping in conjunction. And then, all the guys that are around them. You see Vince, you see Zach, and how they're approaching it. And then really your thoughts really just go to the family, which you mentioned, Amanda, is praying for them. And obviously, and CJ's going to be fine, and everything worked out the way it was supposed to work. But just making sure they've got a peace in their heart. And then knowing the background behind it, all the operations things, and who's contacting who, and who is Coach Brown talking to, and his coaches and things like that. So,
and the crazy thing for you guys, the game goes on.
The game goes on.
He's going this way, and you guys still have to stay here. And I can't imagine what's that like, knowing what's going on with you.
You really get back into the routine of the game and the flow of the game, but you understand you got a bunch of young guys out there whose brother just went through something like that, and and credit to our guys. I thought they really got back at it, and they really competed hard, and they were able to do that pretty effectively, I thought, after he got hurt.
Yeah, we know he's not going to play this week and just continue to get better. So let's talk about this Baylor team. What do you think about the Bears?
Really, really good team. I mean, what they've done with Coach Randa and how they've kind of parlayed that off of the previous staff and gotten better with it. Very well coached team, very physical team. They know exactly what their identity is on offense and on defense and on special teams. And they have a plan. They stick to it. They follow it. They've been kind of similar in the fact that the couple of games that they've lost, they've had opportunities to win the game, and it's come down to a 1-score or 2-score game. And it's very easy to see the plays on film where they could have won that game and they could have finished it. So a lot of respect for them. Obviously had a phenomenal season last year, and they're trying to parlay that. They've got some new faces on the team than they had from last year, but definitely a similar identity.
Yeah, they have a running back, a freshman running back. Let me find my notes here. Might need my glasses. Richard Reese, I believe it is, who is, kind of like C.J. Donaldson, freshman running back, who's making quite a difference on the field for them. And then they have, Blake Shapen, their quarterback, who is coming off a career-high 345 yards against Oklahoma State. So, what do you see in him? It's funny because I was looking at his and JT numbers, numbers-wise, they look very similar on paper, but what do you guys see out of Blake that you're really going to have to key in on this week?
The thing about Blake is he has a very, very high intelligence level with their defense or with their offense, and where the routes are supposed to be, how the protection's set up, but most importantly, how their run game ties into their pass game. You've got a run-first offense. Now, their numbers aren't what they were a year ago in the run game, but everything stems from their running game. And, they're not a drop back and pass protect with 5 guys and put them on island. It's not what they do. It's all tied into their running game, their play action pass, their naked game. And he understands it as a quarterback. So his looks, his actions, and making the passes look like the runs, he's very effective on that. And then he has a very accurate arm. He has a strong arm. The fact that he was able to beat out a 12-game starter a year ago says the trust that they have in him, that they would let the other quarterback go, and you can see that on film. So I've been impressed with how he's run it. Obviously had his best game against Oklahoma State, against one of the top teams in our conference. And then the running back, he's done a good job of sticking to their plan. When you watch their run game, it's very similar to when you see a lot of NFL teams where, what you see a lot of times in NFL, and there's marquee running backs, but there's only a few marquee running backs in NFL. It's kind of plug and play. The running back, and not to take anything from him, but he understands their scheme. He understands their outside zone scheme. He understands how they want to mix it up, and he follows the tracks, and he's disciplined with it. And for a young guy, the first thing they want to do is kind of go rogue and find the first cut and go make an explosive play because it looks good, and he doesn't do that. He's really disciplined in his tracks for a young back, and he has the dimensions and the size that they want for that. So it's really easy to see why they've gained so much trust in him in the first 5 games.
And also just, him being that disciplined is also, it's good, especially him being so young. Like you said, the first time, you being out there, you just want to just hit the gas or really just abandon all responsibilities. And honestly, speaking from experience, I did too. Just first time playing, you're nervous. You're kind of like, all right, I need to make a play. So your head's just going everywhere.
Darius, stick to the plan.
Constantly telling yourself, stick to the plan. So really just having the disciplined guys is going to makes it that much harder to defeat. But at the same time, everybody can be beaten. They're coming here. So it's an advantage for us. Absolutely.
And just like, they have a disciplined run scheme, and how they're comboing blocks, how their offensive line is working together, how their backs are making their cuts. Well, there's only going to be 6, 7, 8 gaps, right? And we've got to defend those gaps. And how we do that, and everybody being having gap integrity, and having their eyes in the right place. You just got to do your 1/11th. And we talk about it all the time. You got to do your 1/11th. You got to stay in your gap. The play will come to you if you do your job right. It's no different for them. It's no different for us. At the end of the day, who can do that the most is going to be a successful team.
And players don't realize you're doing your job. Everyone wants to make plays, but doing your job, it helps so much. Whenever I was with the Raiders, the first 2 weeks, it was doing the projectors, do your job. and Gruden was like, I don't care. You guys are obviously here for a reason. You guys play ball, but at the end of the day, the guys on the opposite side, on the other side of the line of scrimmage, can play ball too. So if you're not doing your job, then you're just messing up everybody else's. So that 1/11 definitely ties in.
100%.
Yep. All right, you are watching Climbing the Mountain, a video podcast brought to you by Encova Insurance. Hard work and passion are critical components of any winning strategy. Count on Encova Insurance as your local team to provide peace of mind. Of course, brought to you by Country Roads Trust, West Virginia's name, image, and likeness team. Coach, let's talk about special teams. I know that's also your deal. What's good on special teams this year? I mean, Casey Legg, solid as always. I don't want to jinx him, but he's perfect. Knock on that wood. I'm knocking on wood.
but you did. No, and that's the thing. Casey comes into work every day. His consistency, how he strikes the ball, how his mental state is. Been really pleased with him. He's done everything we've asked him to do. His timing has been good. Our protection has been very good. What the offensive front has done on that part of it has been really, really strong, our wings and all of that. So really, I really am. I'm pleased with where we're at on that. Overall with teams, we've been in a position where, and I think Texas was one where there was a couple plays on that film where we really could have really changed the game very early on. And it was one guy not right. And you hate saying that as a special teams guy because you're only going to get 25 to 30 opportunities in a game, whereas offense is probably going to get 60 to 80. Defense, you've got about half of that. But if you take advantage of that one, the impact of blocking a punt or of returning a kick is huge. So we definitely had some of that pop up in the last game. But I think overall right now, I think what Ollie Straw's done as a freshman, I think one guy that doesn't get a ton of recognition right now, but Brinkman is snapping as good as anybody in the country. His locations, his times, what we've asked him to do has been elite. And that really was on display last Saturday. So I'm really pleased with what they're doing. And our coverage units, we've only punted 13 times, which is I think the lowest in the conference right now. We forced 9 fair catches, which is our goal. So we're doing what we need to do. Our distance is coming with our kicks, and I think that's every week. Ollie is getting more and more comfortable. So we're excited about him, especially being a freshman and kind of how his development has come. I think it's definitely on schedule. Kickoff right now, we had a mishap in the second game of the year where we had some guys at the point of attack that didn't make the play. Other than that one play, I feel like we've really gained some confidence and we have a good understanding of what our jobs are within our lanes and things like that. We're defeating blocks and we are making plays down the field. So we got to just continue to grow on that. Schematically, I think our guys have really done a good job of taking what we're giving them and executing it. And then, our punt rush, we've you can probably tell in the first 5 games, we kind of changed our mode a little bit to more of a rush team. And And I think that's something that's affected. We've blocked the one punt. We've come close on 2 others, but we've affected a lot of poor kicks. We had a 20-yarder. We've had an 18-yard. Like, we've had some really short kicks because of they're worried about the protection and us getting off the ball. And that can be just as, and what that's turned into is right now at this point in the season, we actually have a better return yardage than we had in the past couple of years just because of people worried about protecting. So we got to keep that up. And then also when we get the opportunity to return punts, we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, special teams, that's that sneaky little unit that, you don't want to know who the long snapper's name is, right? Because that means he's not doing well. But, like, they can really effectively change the course of a game, and people don't really understand that. It's where it's all these little things.
Special teams is huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It really is.
Like, honestly, a muff punt can affect, the whole game. If you're down, if it's 14-21 and the punter punts the ball like 18 yards, that just gives it's just so much better field position.
Yeah, pinning the offensive line down deep. I mean, then they have to go it's just, it's those little things. And if you do those little things well, you can definitely capitalize. So, well, Coach, we appreciate you joining us, and good luck this week against Baylor. Go get them.
Thank you. My pleasure. Enjoyed
visiting with you. Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome.
All right, coming up after the break, Darius and I will be talking with James Gmiter here in the studio. Stay with us. You're watching Climbing the Mountain, brought to you by Encova Insurance and Country Roads Trust. This Climbing the Mountain podcast is brought to you by Encova Insurance. Hard work and passion are critical components of any winning strategy. Count on Encova Insurance as your local team to provide peace of mind. Welcome back to Climbing the Mountain, presented to you by Country Roads Trust and Encova Insurance, your one-stop shop for your home, auto, business, and life insurance needs. Of course, Climbing the Mountain is also brought to you by Country Roads Trust. We are West Virginia's name, image, and likeness team. All right, we have a guy that's very well known in this program. He's the grandpa, I think he's called in the group. We have James Gmiter. James, thank you so much for joining us this week.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm not going to call you grandpa.
That's fine.
You don't look like a grandpa. Well, first of all, let's talk about the bye week. What did you guys accomplish? What was it like? And what's it like for you as a player? Do you get any time off? Do you just get to rest, be with your family, your beautiful wife, your kids? What is that bye week? What did it look like for you?
The biggest thing we focused on this bye week was kind of ourselves. Texas didn't go the way we wanted it to, so we kind of reevaluated where we were at over that week, which it really wasn't a full week. This is a kind of different year that I've had. Coming off a bye week, playing a Thursday game kind of shortens everything up. So everything was kind of fast-paced, but a lot of it was just focused on us. And when we did have time off, we didn't really come in. They gave us the day off, so we had time to do whatever we wanted to do with our families. I spent good time with them, which is something you don't take for granted when you're in the middle of the season, but it was nice.
How important is that as a player, just to get away, whether you have kids like you do or not, just to get away and just step away from the field and just get away from it? Yeah. It's a grind.
It's a necessity, on a normal bye week, like a normal year, you'll have time to go back home if you're from farther away. But, having 2 days, I think it was 2 full days off, it's kind of hard to do that and then get back on time. But it's a necessity, I think, if you go through a whole 12-game season without going back home or kind of having any downtime, by the end of that season you kind of get worn down and you kind of want to get out. But even just having that 3 days off kind of gets you away from the building, gets you away from everything else, and you can kind of reset a little bit.
No doubt, just being I'm from here, so the kind of it's kind of a great opportunity to be able to go back home whenever I want. Yeah. But people that are from home, like further away from you, you're Bethel Park, which is right up the way. But just people that are from, a couple people on the team that are from not even from this country. Yeah. So they don't get to spend time home as much, and just them being in a new spot like that is definitely mentally tough. And just being able to take a day, even a day or just 2 off, it helps with with the mental health. And it's always these bye weeks are very it's a good necessity for sure. So.
Let's talk about coming off that Texas loss. You guys are 2-3 at this point of the season, 0-2 in the conference. Tell me what's frustrating right now and what's good right now.
I think the biggest thing that I think everybody sees is we have the potential to be 5-0, and I think that's what's so frustrating as a player. And I think the collective opinion of that across the team is we see flashes that we're good enough to be 5-0 right now, but we're not, and that's kind of the reality we're at. But kind of going off of that, the good things are that we have the potential to win out the rest of the season. We're not at a point where it's kind of over, but seeing those flashes through the first 5 games kind of gives everybody a little hope in the back end of their mind that, we are good enough that we can win out the rest of the season and still make it to Dallas.
What have you guys seen out of Baylor that you are going to be keying in on this week? This is a team that won the Big 12 last year. They're coming off a loss to Oklahoma State, I believe it is. They also had the same thing, a bye week. I mean, they had the same kind of a schedule. Yeah. So what have you guys seen out of the Bears?
I think the biggest thing is their size that they have on the interior front. Ika, he's, I think, 6'4", almost 360 pounds. So he's a big dude, and they have a couple other guys that are 300 pound plus. But that's kind of like our point of emphasis right now is being able to move them across the ball. If we do that, there's going to be running lanes there. In the pass game, they're not really too fancy. They don't try and trick you. They just line up and they are what they are. But the biggest thing is going to be their size.
I mean, y'all strong enough up front to be able to handle that.
Right.
But 360, that's heavy.
That's a lot. That's a lot of weight.
But now y'all got it, man. Y'all, the O-line chemistry is building, despite the record or whatever the outside perspective may be. You guys have that chemistry to be able to just, win the games and, keep stacking. So, and it starts this week and just keep stacking each game.
That offensive line was the most experienced unit coming back. You guys have really helped pave the way for C.J. Donaldson, the running game. Just talk about that cohesiveness and even though you had that experience coming back, I'm sure you guys are still growing together and learning together. Right. That never stops.
Yeah, no, that never stops, especially in O-line play. But we're at a point now where we're so gelled and we kind of feed off of each other. We know what we're gonna do. But across the board, everybody's starting to learn more about the offense and more about defensive fronts, how to read nickels, corners, and all that. So I think as a collective group, the growth of learning a defense keeps growing, but we all know what to do and what we're going to see. So it all kind of just spreads out throughout the O-line, and it makes communicating a lot easier.
And that helps y'all win games too. You know what I'm saying? It's being able to be smart. Yep. Difference between this level and the next is that the speed, but it's really just the mental, the details. And if you as a collective group, offensive line is able to, get on the same page with the details, that's going to make you guys even that much better. And you guys are showing that, so keep it up.
Can you talk about the mentality? Because you mentioned, I asked what's frustrating and what's good, and you said the fact that you guys are so close. Mentally, is it a balance of, gosh, we're right there, but man, we're not there. What is that like as a player to know that it's on the cusp, but you just haven't reached that yet?
You can't really you can't dwell on the past, but you can't forget it either, So I think building off of the mistakes, the little mistakes we made against Pitt and all the other teams, having that to build off of is key. But even so, if we were 5-0, you can't be complacent either. So having a 5-0 team, having a 2-3 team, you have to have the same mindset. You can't stop learning and growing.
I know CJ is out this week, but when you see one of your comrades go down like that, what was that like for you guys as a team? I mean, I can't imagine watching that and knowing that, well, we got to keep playing. What was that like for you guys, and what was that plane ride home like?
It was hard. I went to go pick CJ up after he got hit, and so I saw his eyes and he was wide awake, and the next thing I know, he's laying on the ground. So that was one of the hardest things I think I've seen on a football field. It hit me emotionally. But trying to see seeing all that in front of you and then trying to come back and finish a game kind of gives you a perspective on the game's so dangerous. You can't take anything for granted, But all that aside, I think when he got hurt, we kind of all came together and we finished the game the way we should have. So it wasn't a good thing. No one likes to see that. It's scary, but he's good. We see him around the building now, so it's good to see.
That's good.
And that's just what's, the downfall of this game, the sport, is that, it's fun to watch, it's fun to play, but the margin of error is very small. You have the wrong angle in your neck, it's over with. Or you can just be running down the field. I see a dude in the NFL 2 weeks ago just ran down the field towards ACL. You know what I'm saying? It's just freak accidents like that. It's a part of the game. It's hard to move from it, but you also got to learn from that to be all right, well, what could we have done, blah, blah, blah. Or sometimes you just can't do nothing about it. It's just a freak accident. So you just got to just grow from that, and you guys are doing that.
What is the message this week as you guys essentially go into the second half of the season? It's kind of a reset, but what is the message this week as you face Baylor Thursday night?
I think it's just the details. A lot of the games we played come down to the minuscule details that we failed to complete. So a big part of this week is just doing the little details right.
What about just playing a Thursday night? I mean, it's fun for the fans. What do you guys think about playing Thursday night at home? I don't think it's happened for a while.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. It's unique, but it takes away your recovery time a little bit. It's a quick turnaround from a Saturday game, and then everything's smushed into just a little window. It was nice having a bye week before a Thursday night, but we had two other, like the Virginia Tech game was hard. We played a hard game and then turned right around. We had I don't think we had a day off. So we just turned right around in the prep, and then it just shortens everything up. So it's unique, but they're fun to play in.
Coming off they're coming off that loss to Texas, how eager are you guys just to get out in that field and just get going?
Yeah, we want to get out and just get that bad taste out of our mouth. It's never fun losing, especially when you have more than 7 days in between a game. You have more time to think about it, and that's what everybody remembers is your last game. So everybody's excited to get out on the field and kind of get that bad taste out of our mouth.
And the bad taste don't taste any worse, just for us than it is for everybody else. So it's like, the fans are very upset about it, but as a player, it's your life. You're going, you're trying to make it to, most people try to make it to the next level, or really just, just playing the sport. But it's like, you mess up in a game or lose a game, that bad taste is in your mouth till you win. It doesn't matter how lost by one. Honestly, in my opinion, losing to 5 or 6 points hurts worse than getting blown out, because it's like, all right, we had two, three plays that we could have done to win the game, but like I was saying earlier, to get a bad taste out of your mouth, you just got to win, and you got an opportunity this week.
You've been around here for a while. You've seen ups and downs and how it goes. Do you find yourself trying to be a leader on this team, vocally, physically out there, to say, look, guys, we got a long season left, right? A lot of games left. A lot of things can change. The Big 12 is kind of, I feel like college football in general is kind of crazy this year. But, do you find yourself being even more of a leader in a year like this, when maybe things aren't going as well as had hoped?
Right. I'm not very a verbal leader. I kind of just go with it, and I'll let guys that are more vocal kind of express what they feel, and then I'll piggyback off of them. I've never been one to call anybody out and just make a big deal out of it. So I'm not that type of leader, but I'm definitely trying to push in the right direction.
So we're not going to see you in a cheerleading.
No.
So, okay. All right.
Because
not for Halloween.
I like your leadership, tactic, because I'm the same way. You can talk all you want, but if you're not making plays on the field, then no one's going to respect you. So when I came in as a freshman, the golden rule was don't talk unless talking to. You know what I'm saying? Just be respectful, blah, blah, blah. But when you start making plays, when you can start having a voice, and people are going to start actually listening and respecting you. So your leadership, that's how you're supposed to do it.
I mean, that's anything, right? Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
So. All right. Well, James Gmiter, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
And let's go get that win
Yep.
Thursday night.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Climbing the Mountain, brought to you by Encova Insurance and Country Roads Trust. If you'd like to get more information about Country Roads Trust, you can go to join.countryroadstrust.com. Have you been there yet? Have you seen our page?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, right?
It looks good. You know what I'm saying?
Become a member.
Yeah.
Maybe put you on the spot there. That's
Thanks,
all right.
it's all right.
It's all good. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. We are all over. And you can learn how you can help support athletes like James Gmiter and all of the athletes at WVU. We'll be back next week on Climbing the Mountain when the Mountaineers take on Texas Tech. But for this week, for Darius Stills and myself and the whole crew behind us, thank you so much for joining us. This Climbing the Mountain podcast is brought to you by Encova Insurance. Hard work and passion are critical components of any winning strategy. Count on Encova Insurance as your local team to provide peace of mind.